Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now, it's been a few days since I last recorded a video, and oddly enough it's because well, I decided a couple of days to quit smoking, so I've been kind of climbing the walls, but also I sort of lost my voice a little bit ironically after I stopped, so I wasn't really able to record any videos. I've still got a bit of a croaky voice going on at the moment, a little bit as well, so hopefully we'll get through this video okay. But anyway, today we're going to be revisiting a band called Roses Unread. Now, I first covered them about 9 months ago, I think it was, when I looked at their track Rapture. I have looked at another track of theirs since then, and today we're going to be looking at a track called Lying to Yourself. They released this video about 5 days ago, I think. I think they released it last Thursday. This is another single off that Rapture EP. So, like I said, I've covered them twice before now, so, you know, I've spoken about the band before. They are pretty decent, you know. There was a couple of little things I picked up on the band that, you know, I wasn't overly fond of. But for the most part, they are a decent band. So, yeah, since I've already spoken about them before, I can't really tell you anything new about them. I do have lyrics here for this track. They do come from directly under the video, so they should be accurate. And yeah, I don't really think there's much more I can say to you on that fact. So we'll jump straight into the track, like I said, called Lying to Yourself. So we'll see what we have. So, Lying to Yourself by Roses Unread. Let's have a look.
Victim to the night.
There you go, Lying to Yourself by Roses Unread. Relatively short song. Now, the actual song itself is not a particularly deep meaning, but it does have it has an interesting meaning, from what I can tell. It seems to be talking about someone who's perpetually making bad mistakes, and rather than actually seeking help with, trying to solve these problems, they're trying to fix it themselves. They're trying to take it upon themselves to correct these bad decisions, and essentially they're just sort of making it worse all the time. Rather than possibly being too proud to reach out for help. Lyrically, there isn't actually that much to it either. It says, you look for love in all the wrong places, victim to the night. You search for peace 'cause you're in pieces, wounded from the fight, lying to yourself. Then it goes into that chorus. You think you'll find out on your own. You've lost the will to see behind a false sense of security. You're lost inside, can't make it home. It's hard to find your place, pushed back in the wake of your mistakes. You linger in the shadows, hidden from the light, always clinging to illusions, a tangled web of lies, lying to yourself. And then it repeats that chorus again, I think 2 more times before the song ends. So, it's not really that long of a song, and it's, pretty short lyrically as well. But, like I said, it's basically just saying, you're making bad mistakes, you're trying to you're trying to fix it by yourself, and you're really only making things worse. And you're looking for some sort of respite or release or relief from these bad mistakes you're making, but you're refusing to sort of ask for help. You're not. You're lying to yourself, telling yourself that you can do this all by yourself. You need somebody to help. You might be able to get through it yourself, but it'll take a hell of a lot longer to do. So ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help to try and correct these mistakes. That's what it seems to suggest to me. So it's got a fairly decent meaning to it. Don't try and fight these battles by yourself. There's no shame in asking for help. If you've made a mistake, admit to your mistake. Don't tell yourself, oh no, it's fine, it just went a little bit wrong. Just admit to yourself, I made a mistake, I fucked up. Can you help me get through this? Rather than sitting there trying to work through it yourself, making matters worse, possibly making yourself feel even worse. Making yourself depressed and making yourself miserable. And dwelling on the fact that you've made this mistake, and you're too proud to admit it to someone. So, like I said, it's not exactly the deepest of songs, but still. Pretty catchy as well. I mean, that chorus sort of sticks in your head a little bit. So, pretty decent track. From the tracks I've heard of theirs, they are a pretty decent band. They've written a few good songs. They've written a fair few good songs, actually. And some of them are actually really quite catchy. The video was interesting as well. There was a lot of the use of red and blue, and that could possibly be symbolic of like 2 sides of an argument, or 2 sides of a personality. The red sort of being the more aggressive side, and the blue being the more sort of passive and reasonable side. And throughout the entire video they're fighting with each other, so there's possibly that one side that's going, look, ask for help, and there's the other side, the red side going, no, we can do this ourselves, just, get out of my way, I'm going to sort it out, I don't need you, I don't need help, I don't need that sort of thing. So, that could be possibly what that signifies. I could be just over-interpreting what's going on here, but at the end, you see both of them in white, in their skivvies, sort of bowing to each other. So that's possibly them coming to sort of a mutual resolution, sort of like, you know what, let's agree to disagree. We're sort of admitting to each other that each other has a point, that possibly giving in and finally going, do you know what, maybe we can come to some sort of compromise here. I could be overanalyzing. It could just be a strange video overall, but you know, pretty decent track. So yeah, there's not really much more I can go into on that. I mean, I've repeated myself a couple of times even in trying to describe that track. So, you know, fairly decent, quite catchy. It's actually a track where some of the things that irked me from previous tracks weren't present, and it's something I've mentioned in the first video on Rapture, that there's certain little vocal ticks, I suppose it's called, that came through in one of the in the Rapture track. There was this sort of weird sound that she made when she said certain words, like when she used the word I, you know, like I did this, I did that, and when she actually said the word rapture, there was this weird sort of short, sort of gravelly, sort of semi sort of growl screech sort of thing that she did on certain words that I didn't really like. It sounded a bit forced, although I have been assured that it's just something that happens when she sings, but that wasn't actually present in this track, so you know, that was quite nice. It was one of the cleaner vocal performances, and I don't mean that in the style of like death metal vocals where you have the harsh and the clean vocals. It was more of a refined, more polished sort of vocal performance than I've seen in some other tracks, you know. But still, I have liked all of the tracks I've checked out so far, aside from a couple of little things that sort of niggled at me. But I don't really know what else to say on that, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which of course would be a great help to me. There's an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of limitations on how often you can do that, however, just to be fair to people who suggest tracks through other means such as YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. And if you do suggest a track through those other regular means, the Facebook, Instagram and YouTube comments, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestion, because I do get suggested so many tracks every single day that you know, my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it, unfortunately. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crime, mainly those involving people of the alternative culture. But, you know, essentially they want to put an end to all hate crimes. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I'm very, very passionate about, especially these attacks against people of the alternative culture, because it's something that doesn't get spoken about nearly enough, and it's something that really needs to be addressed, because it is a very real problem. And you know, these are people that are getting attacked just purely because of their taste in music, because of their taste in fashion. And you know, we're not talking about simple little things like getting insults shouted at them from across the streets, or being shoulder bumped as they walk down the road. No, we're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting brutally beaten, brutally attacked, just because of their taste in music and fashion. And you know, this is a problem it's been going on for decades, and it's something that is still widely unspoken, and that is something that needs to change. You know, the last time there was any widespread attention brought to this factor was about 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people and beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer. I can't remember exactly how long, but he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old, I believe. She was 20 years old. She was beaten to death just because of her taste in music, just because of the clothes that she wore. And, you know, like I said, that was 13 years ago, and it was all over the news at the time. I remember it very, very well, because it was actually not far from where I lived. However, in the 13 years since then, we've not heard of anything similar, yet I know for a fact that similar incidents have happened We've just not heard a single thing about it. And that's mainly because no one's died. And that's unacceptable. You know, we shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before this subject gets spoken about. You know, every day, in all walks of media, we hear of every other kind of hate crime you can possibly imagine. You know, we've got sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, etc. You know, we hear these every single day on every media platform you can imagine. And, you know, we're to everything from, like, the most violent and heinous of these crimes, where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin, their sexual identity, their religious choices, etc., you know, down to the most pathetic and petty of these crimes, where entitled white women are calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. You know, these are still hideous crimes. You know, these sort of things should not be going on. You know, but we hear all of these things every single day, everywhere. Why are we not hearing about these people that are getting beaten to within an inch of their life because of their taste in music? You know, people have argued with me before that it's not a hate crime. It is. If you're attacking someone because you don't like something about them, whether it is their sexual identity, whether it is their race or religion, or their taste in music, if you dislike that one aspect about a person, and that is the reason why you are attacking them, that is a hate crime. That is the very essence of what a hate crime is. You know. But we're not hearing of these people that are getting attacked because of their taste in music. And that's something that needs to change. You know, about 2 years ago in Glasgow in Scotland, a young woman who was running a charity gig was attacked twice within a space of 5 minutes by the same group of people because of her taste in music, because of the clothes that she was wearing. You know, she had to go from this venue where she was running this charity gig to her home for whatever reason. It was a 5-minute walk from the venue to her home, and she was attacked twice by the same group of people. She was punched, kicked, beaten to the ground, you know, and kicked while she was cowering on the ground by a group of people. Again, it's always a group of people. You know, 5 or 6 people against one lone person. Where was this in the news? We didn't hear a damn thing about it. That's not good enough. You know, we can't allow this sort of thing to go on. By not talking about this, by not doing anything about this, we're essentially saying that it's okay for these people to get away with it, you know. By not, you know, pushing forward and doing something to stop this from happening again. You know, we're essentially ignoring it and letting it continue, and that is not good enough. We can't let what happened to Sophie Lancaster happen again. It never should have happened in the first place. We shouldn't have to wait for someone else to lose their life before this sort of thing gets spoken about. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that these atrocities are happening. You know, whether it is because of someone's skin colour, whether it is because of someone's sexual identity, or their religion, or their taste in music, or what have you. You know, no one should be persecuted, no one should be beaten to death because they have a different opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Something needs to be done. If you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's something as simple as a small donation through their website, or even something like buying something like one of these, it's inside out, one of these Sophie wristbands off their web store, or, you know, even that, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other stuff on there. You know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to the fact that this is happening, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.